I think I have a problem with like sterile playing. I've talked about these before, but recording myself doing these jams gives me the opportunity to listen to them, listen back to them without like playing them at the same time, which really offers a different perspective. And one thing I've been noticing lately is that I find it difficult to play dynamically. That is specifically like volume dynamically and pick attack dynamic. And another one is like rhythmically I guess, dynamic. I mean, whenever I record these, I'm playing to a click track, right? And I usually build the loop, then put the drums and the bass on top of them, and then solo over it, which makes sense. I mean, you have like a full recorded song to play over, and that can inspire a lot of creativity and that kind of thing. But in the previous videos jam, if you saw that one, I didn't have any drums or bass with it. I just recorded some guitar. And in fact, you might have noticed it was all a single take. I recorded the loop and immediately went into the soloing over it. I just kept the progression in my head the whole time. It was a simple enough progression that it wasn't too tough to do that. And so when all I was playing to was a click and a progression in my head, I really felt like I had a lot of space to do whatever I wanted, basically. To play really quietly, to play more rhythmically, to kind of, I don't know, it just offered some freedom in that way. Now, maybe you like how that one turned out, maybe you didn't, I don't know. But it was definitely a nice change of pace, at least. Nice enough that I didn't even end up adding bass and drums on top of it after the fact. I thought it kind of stood by itself well enough. I didn't think adding anything to it would help. And as I thought more about that one, I kind of came to the conclusion that I was kind of thinking about what I've talked about already, about the contrast on that one versus kind of the sterile playing that I'm used to. And so when I did today's, I decided to try something a little bit different. Now, you can't tell this from the jam itself necessarily, but I recorded the loop, I stopped the loop, there's a transition in it, but then I only played over that loop. I didn't put bass and drums on it until after the solo. And I felt like that had a very similar effect. It felt like I just had more room to breathe, more room to be dynamic, more room to possibly be rhythmic. And it kind of led me to think that like maybe I've just been competing with the mix a little bit too much. Like, I don't know, whenever you have everything there, rhythm, guitar, bass, drums, in my case, there's already something happening. There's already a kind of a tone set to the song that you need to match. And not just a tone, but a rhythm, right? I mean, you have your like 1 and 3 or 2 and 4, depending on how you count. Like you have your strong beats that you're trying to sync up with. And for me, at least, it makes it hard to like do things rhythmically interesting or dynamically interesting. It makes it hard to play quietly and softly whenever I can't really hear that, right? Because something else is already happening. I mean, sure, I can do that anyway, go and fix the track, but it just makes it harder to feel like you're allowed to. Now, that's not to say that like this is the way to record, because otherwise it's just going to be flat and sterile. Like this is definitely a skill issue on my end. I just need to work on that. I need to learn. But I do think that there's something to be said for adjusting your mix and setting it up in a way that is going to bring the best out of you. And then after the fact, you can go back and fix it and make it sound nice. And maybe I'm stating the obvious here. Maybe anybody who uses any ears already knows that like your mix needs to be something to bring out the best in you rather than just to like sound cool. But I don't know, maybe you're struggling with this. Maybe you just feel like you're competing with a mix, and so you feel like you need to play hard, and then as such you don't really have much dynamics, and everything that you're doing is pretty straight. You're not able to change up the rhythm a whole lot in what you do. I don't know, like this different style of recording that I've done a couple of times now has definitely been a nice change of pace for me, given that I am doing these pretty often, and so it can be difficult to keep things fresh, keep things from being like the same all the time. But I definitely think it gives me something to chew on for whenever I do go back to like building the mix before I solo, that like I need to leave it in like such a way that I feel like I can still like play interestingly over it. Now, like I said, like there's definitely a skill issue there, and that's something that I need to keep in mind while I'm playing anyway. But I'd be curious to hear about your experience with this. Like, do you find it difficult to play dynamically or rhythmically whenever you're playing with like either just a mix or other people or anything like that? Because it's definitely a different feeling. It's definitely a different vibe. And if you have any tips on that, I'd love to hear about it. Until then, I'm just going to be, I guess, focusing on it while I play and making sure the mix is in the right spot. Anyway, if you made it this far, drop a like, hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this type of thing, and I'll see you in the next one.